Do we have any UIUC grads or students on board? None. And we should have at least one. This is their alumni association here. And then beyond the bridge on our right, the next two buildings, both built by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, designed by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill, built 10 years apart, 1971, 1981. Hartford Plaza 1, Hartford Plaza 2. It's the second building, or the oldest of the two, that I want to talk about, because that building was the first building built in Chicago with energy efficiency in mind. You'll notice it has tinted glass, but beyond that, the glass is pushed into the concrete, so that concrete helps shade those offices, especially during the summer when the sun is so high in the sky. So Hartford Plaza 1, Hartford Plaza 2, 1971, 1981. Beyond the bridge on our right are Twin Towers. This is the former Mercantile Exchange, now CME Group. And if you look at the corners, these buildings do not have one, not two, not three. They have 4 corner offices on all 4 corners of both towers, all the way to the 40th floor. So again, a lot more income for the building owners. That is called sawtooth construction. Now if you look down the left side of the boat, past the next couple of bridges, you'll see a tall gray building that, and in front of it, a smaller gray building that looks like it has a bridge on the roof. That's all Boeing International. Both of those buildings are Boeing International. But it's the little building I want to talk about, because the left corner of that building was built over switching tracks. That means the tracks have to move to get the trains to the left and right. So they couldn't put anything under that corner of the building. So how do they keep it from collapsing? It's the bridge on the top that's literally lifting up that corner. It's the difference between a puppet that's supported from below and a marionette that's being dangled from above. And again, ingenious engineering. I would say the engineers never get enough credit for these buildings. An architect could design an upside-down pyramid, but it would be the engineers that have to figure out how we're going to make that balance on the point. As we come out of the bridge, to our left is the old Daily News newspaper building. This was the busiest newspaper in the world for many, many years. They're now out of business. This building was built to look like a sphinx. Now, why is there a sphinx in Chicago? Well, when this building was being planned, King Tut's tomb had been discovered, and Egyptian icons influenced all the arts, including architecture. So the big part, that was the chest. These 2 entrances that come out to the river, those were the paws. The head was never built. This was also the first building to be built with a plaza, green space, and a fountain. Unheard of at the time. It was considered a waste of space. In fact, we could build an entire skyscraper right in front. But today, if you build a building downtown and you provide a public plaza, green space, a fountain, and or public art, you get all sorts of incentives. So as you're walking around downtown, notice how many buildings are not built up to the sidewalk, but are set back, providing public places for us to enjoy. And if the artwork is not on the outside of the building, it's likely on the inside of the building. That is another invitation for you to go into the lobbies. As we come under the bridge back to the Bank of America building here on our right, the other thing I like about this building is they are showing you the unique way that this building is being supported. So rather than having a series of 9 columns parallel to one another running across the building, they divert the weight of the building into 3 nodes here at the ground level, and then they spread that weight out underneath ground level. I think that's ingenious and also aesthetically pleasing. These are all lit up at night, so it's an interesting building to see at night as well. Now beyond the bridge, on the right, I see another red brick building. We think warehouse, we think adaptive reuse. This was the Great Lakes building, built in the early 1900s. Holabert and Rocha, the architects. But it's not the building that's so important, it's the location. On that site in the early 1800s, that is where we built our first hotel, called the Saginash Hotel. And it was in the hotel bar where we held our first city elections. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? By the 1850s, the hotel was long gone. They built a temporary building called the Wigwam, where they held meetings and conferences. And it was in the Wigwam where the Republicans held their second national convention, during which they nominated Illinois' first favorite son, Abraham Lincoln, to run for the presidency of the United States. So to our right, at the Chiapet building, the former site of the Saginash Hotel and the Wigwam. Now, as we come under the bridge again, we're going to be making a right-hand turn back onto the main branch of the river. And when we do, I want you to look to your right and up, because you will be looking at what Chicagoans often vote their favorite building on the river, 333 West Wacker Drive by Cohen, Pedersen, and Fox. It is a postmodern building, contextual. You'll see it has a curved facade that follows the curve in the street and the river. It's also green glass, the color of the river, and it's mirrored glass, so it's reflecting its neighbors. In fact, it has a beautiful reflection of the Merchandise Mart as we come around the corner. So again, 333 West Wacker Drive by Cole, Pedersen, and Fox. It's sitting on top of Wacker Drive, the first double-decker street in the United States. The idea was the lower level would be for deliveries, the upper level a promenade. Now, Wacker Drive is an interesting street because it follows the curve in the river. So we have an East Wacker Drive, a West Wacker Drive, a North Wacker Drive, a South Wacker Drive, an Upper Wacker Drive, a Lower Wacker Drive. And actually out by Lakeshore East, it actually divides into third. So we have an upper, lower Wacker Drive. Now look over your left shoulder at the parabolic arch. You'll see our building, our boat is reflected in the building. Now right at the river's edge is the western terminus of the Chicago Riverwalk. This was designed by, you ready? Carol Ross Varney. There goes a train over a bridge. I don't know if you guys have seen one so far. Each section between the bridges has a different name and a different function. This is called the confluence because it's here where the three branches meet. You'll see there's seating here where people can sit watch what we call a boat ballet. Because we can often have 10, 20, 30 or more boats all vying for their position. And this is the one time when size really does matter. As we come under the bridge to our left is the Merchandise Mart. This was the largest office building in the world until the Pentagon was built in Virginia. This is 4 million square feet. In front of the building are 8 heads on posts. Those are 8 of the merchant princes of the late early 1900s, like Marshall Fields, Wanamaker's, Woolworth, Ward's, Fileen. They are looking at the building because they're minding the store. And while this is officially called the Merchandise Mart Hall of Fame, Chicagoans think it looks more like a Pez dispenser museum. Now, any Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday throughout most of the year, I want to see you over here in the evening, either at the lower level or upper level, because you're going to sit there and you're going to look across at the Merchandise Mart and you're going to see the largest digital art exhibit in the world. It's called Art on the Mart. That is the website that will tell you what days and what shows are on. It's about a 20-minute show. I think it's starting at 9 o'clock right now, but definitely check out the website. Here's Buddy Guy. These are from old shows, but as I said, they have different shows throughout the season, and of course from year to year. So definitely come over and see the Art on the Mart. Next section of the Riverwalk, for this section of the Riverwalk, this is called the jetty. This is where you can fish if you have a fishing license. Those floating gardens go up and down on those stainless steel poles. That's how we know the level of the river. It's usually at a -2. If it gets to a +2, we're in trouble. I have seen it as high as a +4. This section of the Riverwalk is called the Water Plaza. This is a zero-depth fountain, a great place for kids of all ages to come and cool off. And if you're coming to Art on the Mart, stop at Sweet Home Gelato and get a root beer float. I get nothing for this, but I always stop and get one. As we come under the bridge to your right, look up, another building that's going to is the Sal Wacker building by Holbrook and Root. Again, it's an armchair for a giant. Imagine yourself straddling the flag above the door, maybe dangling your feet in front of the door, leaning against the center tower, resting your arms on either side. It's sitting above the River Theater, amphitheater seating. Very popular place Monday through Friday at noon and on weekends. They bring barges up here and have performances. They've even had a floating museum at one point in time. And then the Blue Glass Building, that started construction in the early 2000s, was going to be a 5-diamond hotel, but the developers lost their money in 2008. So this is an empty hulk for many years. Finally finishes as now rentals, and those cutouts in the facade are reminiscent of the meandering Chicago River. The next section of the Riverwalk is the Cove. This is where if you have a kayak or canoe, you could tie up to get out and stretch your legs. Also the home of Tiny Tap, the restaurant. I've never eaten there or had a drink, but I'm told good restaurant and good cocktails. It's almost always busy. And I should point out the plants along the river, because these all survive underwater. So when the Chicago River floods, and it does maybe once or twice, it hasn't so far this year, all these plants will just pop right back up once the water has retreated. The next section of the Riverwalk is the marina. Of course, it references Marina City across the way. It's also the home of City Winery. They make some of their own wines right here in Chicago. They import grapes from all over the world and make the wines right here. This is where if you have a power boat, you can tie up for a pretty hefty fee. Depends on how long your boat is and how long you are staying. But this is kind of a place to see in Houston during the summer on the river. And now if you look down the right side of the boat, about 1 o'clock off the bow, you'll see a green building with a gold top. That's the carbon building. They made batteries. Supposedly that top looks like a battery. That is 24 karat gold on the top of that building. It is now a hotel. And for many years it was named the St. Jane, a reference to another one of my personal heroines, Jane Addams. She started Hull House, a neighborhood house here in Chicago. Long story short, she was the first woman in the United States to be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. Not bad. Come on, you guys. That's pretty good. Okay, as we come under the bridge to the right at the river's edge is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial for the state of Illinois. Do we have any veterans on board? No veterans on board at all?